Hello and welcome to Chatting with Tim and Karen. Hi, Deborah. So, hi again. Yes, we just finished our other, so thanks. We just thought this would be a fun time to just have a chat if anyone has any questions. And um, we're going to tell the story of how we got into how stamping on the back porch came to be and see if there's any other questions. And you guys will determine if this is 5 minutes or 30. As we have nothing else prepared. Hi, Amanda. I would have to say the most fun thing about what we do is just all the people we've met, the people we've met online, in person. Just this community of crafters is just such a delight. And I know a lot of you would agree with that. So Investa's on here. So we're seeing
familiar people.
Yes. And, part of the reason we wanted to do this was just because there's such a great starter kit offer right now. And I just always want to make sure you feel personally invited. This is nothing to do with, I'm not a pressure person at all. I am here to help you maximize whatever you want out of life and the stages of anything you want to do. So it's just a fun, I just love in our group, we all just get to know each other. So it's very fun. So
Karen gives me all the pressure, like clean up the kitchen.
Yes, I've got helpers coming over. Would you clean up the kitchen or what? This has to go in the post office today. But you love those kind because he loves to run errands.
I like to get out.
He's always saying, where do you need me to go today? Way more than what do you need me to do? It's like, where can I go? So it works out well for both of us. Well, some of you have been in our circle for many years. I've been doing this since 1996. Is that amazing? So it's been a long, long time. So we've seen a lot of things come and go in the crafting world. But crafting at its heart is still being able to use our creative gifts, which we all have, and to be able to bless other people with our creative gifts. And, and to learn something new. There's just so much wrapped into this that just makes it so fun. Yep, Tim is a good helper. So I said, that's all good. So we're going to go way back to how we got started. So this is our story for those of you who don't know. Back in 1996, I was homeschooling. So we have 5 kids. And back then I was homeschooling. And on Friday afternoons, I had the middle school age girls to my house for an afternoon of crafting. It was kind of, and ending the month that way. And we did all kinds of different things. And one of the other moms had just moved here from out east, and she had been to a Stampin' Up! Party out there. And she's, Karen, you would love, the girls would love to do something like this. So why don't you look into that? So I did. So I found someone who came to do a party, and I invited the moms and with middle school age daughters. So it was all of us at this party. And at the end, 3 of the people wanted to book parties. And the woman doing my party said, I'm totally booked up, so I'm going to give these to my new recruit. And the light went on to me. I thought, really? And I said, you guys, I need a job. And if you don't care if I give this a try, because you're going to get someone new anyway. I mean, you should have seen me coming into the back door with this. Would you care if I gave this a try? So the back story to that is about 3 days before this party, Tim's job ended. He was working in a chemical dependency treatment with teens, and he was working with the families. And his position was eliminated. The program was bought out by someone, so his job totally ended. And that's why I was going to look for something just temporary to bring in some money until he found another. This was going to be a gap solution. Nowadays, kids take gap years,
A gap solution. I took a long gap.
So that's how I got into this. And one of the things that I learned from that was that I probably wouldn't have given this a try if it weren't so easy and I were invited to do so because, I had a why. And what I love about all the times of things that have changed and passed through time, our why is always like, it can be for anything. It's just to get our stuff. It's like we all have our own why. But I know that I needed one at that time to do it because I'm one of the few people that came here looking at this, as a kind of, and very few most people buy the starter kit, which is what we're talking about, to get a discount or to do it for themselves. I mean, there's very few people go in, to do what I did. So I'm putting that right out there, that was just a very unusual story. But some of the things I learned along the way were just really how fun it is just to include. I mean, we are just this group of friends, and what we each want to do with this can be different. So I absolutely love that. So anyway, that's how I started. And, so I'll tell you how hard I worked. I was doing 27 in-home parties a month while Tim was unemployed. So just know that's not something I would recommend either. But, it's interesting how it just kind of built and kind of went through time. Tim had another job. We did all this. And then later, we decided to go online. And, that's been its own thing. The first time I went online, Tim was with me to give me support. We did a Facebook Live. And the next time I went on alone and people were saying, "Where's Tim?" And I said to Tim, "Well, you've got yourself a job." But people, you guys tell us what you want. I love when I'm teaching things, I love figuring out what things get the most reaction, the most involvement in our weekly challenges. And for me, it's quick and easy. For someone else, it could be something else. I love doing quick and easy. I love that people that love to step things up can take the quick and easy and step it up and do their own thing. So anyway, it's just kind of a fun.
So I'm back by popular demand.
Yes. And it really helped give us direction. The other thing that happened, and if I don't see your question, and it's important, I'm trying to do this in real time to just put it in there again. So Karen, I'm going to come back to yours, but I just wanted to say that the other thing that was really interesting in doing this together, one of those very first weeks, somebody put a comment, "Karen, you're really old to be doing this." You guys, this was years ago. I'm 75 now. I was not 75 then. And other people were saying, so I don't know how long, but those, I was in my 60s. So and people were saying, "Get that hater off here," and all that. And I left it, and I came back the next week and said, "Isn't it awesome that you're just looking for friends and a community on this? You don't have to be 40 and gorgeous to be successful online." This is so I left it on there because I thought I love that this isn't based. It's certainly not based on a slowing down of speech. So this is just, you attract people that will be your friends. So it's awesome. So Karen was asking, she's back to, if you sign up for either kit, what is expected of you? Do you have to sell over a period of time? Are you expected to have parties and all that kind of stuff? No, you get to do what you want to do. And, another thing that I've learned is even on my team, sometimes leaders and staff up, they'll often say, I became an accidental leader. I didn't go in ever doing this. Is how things develop. I think as women, especially as women, men too, but especially, we had so many stages of our life, and what we want today, a year from now, could be something totally different. There are people that, so there are no expectations. You can buy the kit and you will be active for 6 months. If you buy the kit, which means you can pre-order early. The next coming, the catalog we get, the next mini catalog, all the online specials, we get to order everything early. You get to be a part of everything we do in the Fine Line. And you have 6 months to meet your $300 quarterly minimum, because your first quarter doesn't count. So, and I am really happy. I'm old school. I love chatting on the phone. So I'm totally fine with anyone calling me or send a message and asking more details. But that's what makes this kind of a, boy, you can't miss, because there is no obligation. And what you'll find, if you don't meet your minimum, you just won't be able to get back into the website to get your discount. So you haven't signed your life away. If something is out of stock, Christine says, can you add it to your starter kit and wait? No, they've stopped doing wait. I think a lot of stores have stopped doing that too, because of the shipping costs when things come in and shipping out little things. So I'm really glad. Now we can go online and look to see when something is expected in. But like for instance, right now there's free shipping for 3 days on a $75 order. If you're a demonstrator, even if you just bought the kit yesterday or today, and you only got part of your list on there, just think you can turn around and get free shipping and your 20% off and the 10% towards your next order. So it's an awesome deal. You can't go wrong. And I will, as an upline, if people go into pending, I just send out a note so you know that, because sometimes time gets away. but I don't care what you do with this. This is, you can, a year from now, you might come back and find you're in a whole different place and you want to do something different. So I love that about what we do. It's much more like just joining. So I'm glad they switched to that. Just costs are so high. Shipping costs are just, we're all dealing with them with everything. It's just very, very frustrating. Laura says, we love having Tim's take on things. Oh, I'm sending out a dozen cards. So I will put a list of names on tomorrow. People who just ask questions or make comments, just be involved in the chat. We're just going to send out cards and I'll list the names and then you'll send me your address. And so that's our little thing for today. But you know what? We've had so much fun doing this together. Mm-hmm. So from there, we used to rent a church. So Tim was very involved in that because we'd haul everything over there. We would do the setup, the cleanup.
I'd make coffee.
He'd make coffee. He'd serve everyone. Tim's gift is really service, and he just loves. And you guys can feel that, I think, just through the screen. So he loves chatting with people, doing this.
Hospitable.
Yes, that's his greatest gift. We did that up until COVID, and we would have groups of like 80 people, and we loved doing that. And Tim also has been a big part of my business when we travel, as he is one of those guys who loves to sit and visit with anyone who comes and serve us coffee and do whatever. So it's been a real part of his gift. Now he totally joined me in when we realized he was still working part-time at Starbucks because you can get benefits if you work half-time. We love Starbucks for that reason. That just totally was helpful for us having this be our primary income. But what was I going to say about that? But we realized it was a better use of time once we hit, the Medicare age. It would make more sense for him to just work with me. And so he loves that. So it's been really fun. We do this together. He's as much a face of this. I don't know if we put in equal hours, but
no. But
he loves the errands. I'll have him make phone calls and you've really gotten into this. And I think even the way we look at things, design, you love putting in your...
I do. 2 cents.
So what do you think about working on this together?
I tried to be my own boss and I just couldn't do it. I wasn't disciplined enough to... Karen, when she started, she knew exactly what she was going to do each week.
Well, I'm a planner and I'm an organizer and I knew what I needed to do.
Yeah. And that was a part of her
Am I a good
mindset.
Boss?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You are, because you give me time off and an allowance.
And I will say at this age, we're 75 and 76. This is just fun. I mean, it is fun. We are cutting back some just on things in life. But I said, but we love doing this in the community. And I just think the richness that this has added to our life just can't be beat.
I guess you've noticed that I've cut back on what I do.
I still do in-home parties. LeVar, that's a great question. We can still do in-home parties. I do 1 a year. How about that? I went from 3 a year down to 1 a year. But I would do more if I were asked. And when we travel, we meet with people. But when we're traveling, if we're in an area and somebody wants a party, I would sure do it. I love doing home parties. But it is just interesting. I think a lot of times have changed and a lot of people like doing classes. So now I pretty much do things more online, but I still love in-person things. So that's...
Shout out to Kathy.
Yeah. Kathy was my first host and we still do an annual party every year.
And she was a pen pal when I was in Vietnam.
Lisa wants to know why they ask for your social security number when filling out to get a kit. I know it's because you're entering a business relationship and they need a place to put, but I don't know details beyond that. I've never had an issue with that, but you can always call Stampin' Up and ask their precise take on that. And I know that's frustrating for people, but there is a legal reason for doing it in however it's structured. But I've been doing this a long time and it's been really good. Karen says, I'm computer illiterate. Is everything online? I still think I'm pretty computer illiterate, and I can't believe how much I've learned, but I still get frustrated online when things change. The thing that's helpful is the only thing you really need to do online. I can walk you through how to place your orders and how to order your kit. So I just work with people and do that, because my feeling about computers is I like to learn what I need to know and nothing more. I'm not going to be someone who just wants to go try out all kinds of other things. I like hearing about them, but I'm not going to do them. I'm using StreamYard because I've used that for years. A lot of people are using fancier new stuff that you can do a whole lot more. Here's my secret. I actually paid for it for a year because I thought, oh yeah, I could do that too. I was so frustrated and I thought, this isn't what I want to spend my time doing. So I gave that up, went back to this. I don't need to change. We're old school. But I think that's the kind of the minimum. But, and then like I have a team meeting, kind of like we have the Back Porch Stampers for people. And then I have the Fine Line is my group. We're named after a bar. But it sounded like such an artsy name. It's a music bar.
It's a music venue.
It's a music venue bar. But that always seemed artsy and it's kind of, it just kind of fits. So that's where I took my name from. But we do a lot of things in there. And some people aren't even on Facebook. As long as you can just do your orders. So that's what I always say. This is for whatever you want. And some people on Facebook just go on under a separate name. I'm going to tell you, I don't go on Facebook personally, which is kind of amazing. I just go on for my business pages. Tim's on there personally. He'll bring me things. Did you see this? No. But I love, swap card helper. Tony's saying, yes, when we go to conventions, I sit and I visit with whoever comes by, and Tim goes out and does all the card swapping and talks to everyone. I do. I love that. That is so great.
For many people, I'm required to give them a hug. Oh, which I don't mind.
Oh, which you love doing. So I said that. I think. Deborah said, it's nice to not be obligated to sell. I joined just to get the discount. I buy for my own use. Yep. You and many others. And I love that too. I always think it's more than like going to Sam's Club or something, getting a membership somewhere and enjoying that. Heidi said she started because she was getting orders from friends to give to her sister who was in a different state, who would then place the orders. I decided, why not let my friends order from me? That is awesome. Here I am 24 years later with more friends. I think one of the cool things about getting a kit, and I love telling that to people, sometimes you think you're someone who would never going to sell, you're not going to do it. But there's this thing that happens that even if you're just a crafter, let's just say crafters, there's something about you learn something, it's really fun to teach someone. If you stamp with a friend or with your grandkids, you're already teaching. And sometimes when you start an endeavor like this and you get these new things, it's kind of this natural flow. Not that you're going to do it to make it a business or make money or anything, but there's this natural desire to reach out and teach. And I think just inviting people over to stamp with you is such a great way to build friendships and to build. I always tell people that if I were starting and wanted to start business and didn't know where to start, what I suggest is doing, and I used to do this, but do fundraisers for, like, invite people over. Maybe if you go to church and you'd like to make some cards for shut-ins, invite some friends over to help you make cards for shut-ins. Cards for a purpose that are going to be donated, cards for the military, cards for whatever. And I think sometimes your friends will think, I am not crafty. I would never go to a class or a party, but I would go help her do that. I think the gift we're giving those friends is to just try it out. Because if I hadn't tried it out, I wouldn't know how much I loved it, and neither would any of us. And I think it's so I always think that's such a gift, and you just never know. You might find a really close friend that you never knew you had this common interest in before. So to me, it's more of this open arms thing. It kind of gives you extra incentive. Any of us could do it. It might give you extra incentive to think, who could I have, over, and just because you don't know who's going to like it. I also love, like, when my mom was she was in a nursing home, and before that, I was out there a lot helping her. Before that, I was her assisted living person, but I would bring cards along, and it'd give us something to talk about, something to do. Sometimes you can just sit and visit, especially like in a nursing home, and there is not much has changed in their life, so of course we're filling them in. But I love this idea of doing it. Even when she got past being able to help, she loved just coloring or doing a little part of something, then we're working together. And then after that, she's still watching me, and we can comment about colors. And when people come in, the staff, they have something to comment. Oh, what are you working on? What do you do together? And it was just something, I think that idea of sharing, and sometimes if you spend time with older people, you run out of things to talk about. If you bring something to do, whether they're watching or helping, I found that with my teens too. When I started, my son was in high school, the oldest, and he'd come home late at night, and our best talking time, I'd be up making cards, working on stuff. And he would come home late, and we'd have the best talk time. He'd sit down and he'd start creating with me. Sometimes when you're actually working on something, it's it was just different. It's an easier kind of conversation flow, I guess, if that makes sense. So what else? Lynn says, I didn't even know how to stamp when I signed up 30 years ago next month. Oh, I think you have me beat, Lynn, in time. I didn't either. I had never stamped. I just bought the kit. And back then, we didn't have the online things. So my sister joined with me at the same time, which was really fun. So, and that's the other thing I tell people: if you have a friend, both get do it together. It really makes fun. But and I didn't have any samples. We didn't have anything, and we would get together and we'd both be making cards, and we hold them up and go. It took forever to come up with something for the first party. I was so nervous about it, and now it's harder to limit it and to figure out what to do because there's so many ideas. The other thing that I love, if you are someone that's just starting, I love talking to new people that are just getting started. I always say, if you invite your friends over, just tell them I'm doing this, and you can always find out if there's interest later in classes and stuff. But even if you're doing things online, take people on a journey with you. Right now I buy everything that I want when it comes out. So, I do the unboxing and that. When I started, I was very, very selective about what I bought. And as we move into our new stage of life, I just say and we don't know when that will be, we move to an apartment, I will become known as the minimalist stamper. I'm already making plans for that. And it'll be how I make limited choices because of limited space. And I love that because we all have our own story, and there's something about all of our journeys. Tim has found a couple stamp sets he hasn't let me get rid of. He's never going to make them, but if I'm trying to get rid of a farm set, he'll like, oh no. We have
trucks,
pickups. So,
yep.
so
chicken.
So he even has an investment in this when he doesn't stamp. So I think that's really fun. But I love that we're the age that we're at, and we still can do this, what fits our life. And just what a blessing it is to know everybody. So just know I love supporting people. And let's see. Vesta said, oh, I'm glad it's a music bar. I love music. Yes. Oh, we saw some great people there. So yeah, the fine line was fun. Will Stampin' Up! Always have catalogs? I have no idea. I have no insider information. I know we do the online because nowadays you need to keep up. Catalogs have to be put to bed like a long time before they come out. So I love that there's the combination. So I am a real catalog person. I love looking through my old catalogs for ideas. And I keep cards. I have a couple, more than a couple idea boxes when I get cards. If I like the layout, if anything about it that I like, they're in my keeper boxes because I'll go back to them for inspiration.
It's a little arrow at the bottom.
Oh, just more comments. Let's see. Oh, Mary Giroux says when she started making cards, she knew nothing about Stampin' Up. She started by cutting pictures out of magazines. I love that. Magazines and old calendars and Christmas cards. Oh, I remember those days.
She made collages.
And Carol says, I'm my best customer, my only customer. See? And I love that. And I love that it can change. And I was thinking, in the group, I love telling people that it's often the people that are just doing this for fun, buying for themselves, are also great cheerleaders for those that are wanting to do a little more. They'll be very, very happy to come watch somebody's Facebook Live, to just get involved. So it's just that community, because we can all want different things, and we can all want different things at different stages of life. You can ask Tim some questions, because then he'll talk more. I'm not giving him the floor because I don't know. Tony just said on World Card Making Day, her group made 306 cards to donate to a local organization. It's that great feeling. Yes. When I Well, I had breast cancer, 11, I don't know, maybe 11 years ago. And I remember I did a couple of fundraisers after that too. And it was really fun to advertise for that too, because people would come to support the idea of breast cancer or any cancer. It kind of fits into that same cause, and then find that they love this community, people that are doing things, they didn't know they could be creative. And, so there's all kinds of different ways to invite people into our world. I love the idea of just wanting to be invited. Wouldn't we all rather be invited to a party and not go than to never be invited? And that's how I feel if you're someone who doesn't know if you can invite a friend over to stamp. It doesn't matter. You can always just say, "Ooh, I love stamping. Have you ever tried?" To me, it's an open invitation. It gives us something to do. I just like that. And it's just great for conversation. Susan says she'll be having a table after church for people to make cards for shut-ins. Love that. There'll be limited time and kids, including young children. Any suggestions on how I approach the prep and what I should offer? That'd be easy for everyone, most of whom are not card makers. I think we could talk privately about that. But I will say one of my favorite things that I ever did, I worked with this church for several years. Once a year, they had me come in, but they had a card ministry, and it was basically women, and it was invited, but then they would, one Sunday a month or something, it was for women or anyone ages 8 and up. And so they would have these luncheons. Maybe it wasn't monthly, but I love this idea. They said it's a ministry in several ways. We are doing cards for the shut-ins. They have all that, but they all mixed up the name tags. So 8-year-olds would be sitting by a grandma type that they've never met. And I always thought that's the other ministry, said being the intergenerational and getting to know people of different ages and how close they became that way. And I thought, how close would you end up being with these girls as they become teens? And then go on into that, and it could be guys too. I'm just saying in this case there weren't, but I just think that idea, you're working together on a service project and mixing that up, I thought was just wonderful, because how many of us older people would love to have more young people in our lives? So I think that is wonderful, but I would go really, really simple. And I love that we can do simple and cute. I think card kits could be great. But I love to do all that. Lynn says we actually cruised together back on her first cruise. Oh, is that fun? Oh, yeah. One of the side benefits or all the other. And I tend to remember faces more than names, but we are all getting older, but it's so fun when you start reminiscing and then you find your connection again. And because all these fun stories. Teresa said she loves creating cards and mailing them to seniors. There are so many seniors that are lonely. She also sends them to her aunts who are in their 80s and 90s with a letter. They love hearing by mail. I think even though stamps are getting more expensive, what a privilege it is to let people know that we're thinking of them and that we care. And, I just think that is wonderful. Karen says, when I started ordering from you, I liked talking to Tim shortly afterwards. When he couldn't answer my question, he just passed it over to you and made me feel very welcoming. Yeah, that's kind of how we do it. Tim will say, should I make up answers or should I give you? No.
I don't think I would say that.
Diane says her sister was her only customer until she couldn't pass up this $35 starter kit. But now you're doing it together, and you can help each other make your minimums if you care to. But it doesn't matter if it's for a short time or a long time. It just doesn't matter. Yes, it was the cruise where Shelley, the CEO at the time, missed the boat. Yes. Carol says, Tim, I get you. The gnomes, pets, and meerkat sets will never leave my house.
That's right.
Well, I did go buy one stamp set that I had already donated. I bought it back. It was back in the old days where everything was in wood. And our youngest 2 kids are from the Philippines. And so if anyone remembers this set, it was the, I don't remember, must have been an iguana. I don't remember what it was, but it was very much appropriate for that. And so, of course, I was going to be a scrapbooker in my mind, and I needed that stamp set. So I went and bought it from somebody else for more than I don't know if I even sold one cheaply or gave it, but I thought it was pretty funny. So I went and bought it. And of course, I'm not really a scrapbooker. I love making mini scrapbooks that are gifts that are about an event we did together. I just realized that is not my thing, but I love it when it is. And I love that we fit that too. And I love if you're talking with a scrapbooker, but same as a quilter, you see your different eras. It's not only Taylor Swift that has eras, but the back in the 60s, there's a look, and then the 70s and the 80s. And I had somebody tell me she hated her early scrapbook. She's going to redo them. I said, don't. It's like this point in time. I wish I'd kept the first cards I'd ever made, because now I would get a good laugh out of it, but I love that we can grow and change. So keep them, because they're their own kind of history and time. And meanwhile, our style develops and changes. And I love that we also
I'll be right back.
add scrapbooking. I think it's show and tell time for Tim. Is that?
Yep, it is.
Okay, so he thought of something to go get. Lynn said she bought back Button Bear. I love it. I was donated back Button Bear, so I said that is the deadline for the starter kit is the end of the month, I believe. I'm also going to do a disclaimer that I'm often not good with numbers, so double check anything I say. Don't hold it. And Carol says that she gets the shut-in list from the pastor, and then sending them Valentine's, Easter cards. I just think, I kind of think, one way of looking at the starter kit too, it's just another way of being involved. It's another way of just being one step closer to a group or whatever. I know in my group, everything I do online is free to my team members, because that's just kind of how I roll. I don't do a whole lot of other kinds of training. I love to coach people if they want more, but we just like to have fun together. And I think involving people in what I'm already doing is so, like, you get free membership to the All Good Cards Club. And when I do with 5 of my team members, we do retreats 3 times a year, and all of our teams get the online part complimentary. You can pay some if you want to do the make and take kits, but we encourage people to just buy their own. But I think that's the way I can be most helpful, I guess, is what I'm saying, because it's what I'm already doing. And I'm not at a point in my life where I want to add more things to do. So we're kind of an easygoing, a fun thing. What do you have, Jim?
Cheugy. Oh. I heard the word cheugy today. Read what it says.
It's CHEUGY. Does anyone know what that means? First, we're going to ask. I did not know
what it means.
Does anyone here know that? Cheugy.
It's about us. So it's probably.
Tim said, here's something I'm taking really personally.
Yes.
Okay. So we could make a cheugy card. But this is what the meaning is. He said, it's a slang term used to describe someone or something that is outdated, trying too hard, or basic, particularly when it refers to trends stereotypically associated with millennials. It's used to call out things that are no longer fashionable, no longer in. Out. I just thought, okay, we're cheugy. It's always another. Oh, okay. And I like hearing your guys' stories too. And now our business is, evolved. It's been mostly online, but I have just loved all of it. Every step has been fun. It has been fun to learn new things along the way. And I do the All Good Cards Club, but Holly and I do that together, which has been also really fun. And it's also fun because we really are getting more and more people involved in doing the teaching. We don't want it to be about us. We have just a wonderful community, and we're also creative. We learn so much from each other. So it's just really fun to honor that and just be connected with that. Do our rewards stay with our name or the demonstrator? That is a really good question, Sharon. If you have rewards points, if you've been placing points, you have rewards that can be used toward the starter kit. Oh my goodness, you can make that even cheaper. I think you can choose whatever demonstrator you want. But you can find that out by putting in a name and see if it works. People call me and say, can I do this? And I'll say, I don't know, let's just try. We'll figure it out. Otherwise we'll call. Krista says she still has the wolf set, that really old wood blocks. And do you know what? I think that's the one set I have too. I wonder if I still have it. I remember it going back and forth in that set, because it's such a great set. Always feel free to ask us. It's fun to just chat a little bit. So now we have 5 adult children, 5 grandchildren, and we're enjoying doing more traveling, and that's really fun too. Okay, rewards can be used with anyone. That's what I thought. They stay with you. Heidi, thank you. I will totally say I'm not the most knowledgeable person. You might think I would be since I've been doing it for so long, but longevity doesn't equal competence. We just have
The
fun.
longer she's been, the older she gets.
And can you change upline? I think you have to wait 3 months to be able to change upline. That's something else we can always just double check on. If you're going with the same upline, you can just buy a kit right
So
after.
it's not
right after you
automatic.
dropped it. So they make it easy. So my other question is, if you were looking at this and doing $35, you get 125 of anything. If you haven't done your Christmas cards yet, it'd be perfect time to do that. I love, it's just kind of fun to think about what would I do with this. And it just the fact that they put no obligation on it means nobody has any obligation on anything.
It's a little late for Halloween cards, though. Maybe.
Oh, Gail, so sweet. She says, "When you have any questions, Karen's good at getting back to you with an answer, no matter how much is going on in her life." That's sweet, Gail. I love that we are traveling life together, and we get to know each other. We share what's going on. We know what's going on. I know some people will ask me, "Well, do you know your downline?" And I said, "Well, the ones that reach out and get involved, yes. But it's also okay if you're someone who just wants the kit and doesn't want to be known. That would be, I'm not going to be, I don't ever want to bug a person or anything, but yes, I think of the richness of friendships. But it's the same with Back Porch Stampers and our customers, those that reach out and get involved and do things in the All Good Cards Club. We just love knowing you, whether you're on our team or you're not, we don't care what. It's all about the community. It's just one more option. So yeah, it's been, it has been really fun, and little did we know where this would take us. And I love that it can just be what you want, I have this thing about life, just, try something, try something new. And it doesn't matter. You've got this great supply of things. And you don't need to do anything else. So let's see. Any other questions? I love hearing too all the things people do with their cards. There are a whole lot of people that really do this as a ministry, and I think it would be very cool to be remembered as a person who sent cards. We were thinking about the other day that we need to, I make cards, but I tend to do it more for business. I'm not really good at sending cards. Tim could be. We're thinking about, when you hear about people and he has the time and you love to write notes, that we need to make that more a part of our daily life, that I give him a stack of cards and just whatever is on his mind, because I encourage other people to do that, because I'm probably not going to be the one doing that. But isn't that great if we can do that together? And I remember when Tim's mom was living, I would make her stacks with sympathy cards. That's what she needed then. That's another thing that's just fun. Ways that we can help somebody else. And especially somebody older. And, I still come back to older people a lot because partly I'm getting there, but also just the awareness how lonely life can be and how fun it is to have a purpose when you go in, but to bring in some cards that they could pick to send to their family. And then you write out the addresses, that again is this warm experience where they're getting to tell you about their family and you're doing something back for them. And then you're not just sitting there trying to think of, we're watching TV and what can I say about this show? I don't know if any of you have ever felt that way, but I have. But to have a purpose always makes a conversation go off rails and get really meaningful. Mm-hmm. I find, don't you think? Mm-hmm. And Tim has always been good about just going and, my mom would just love having a visit because he was one of the few guys that would come around lunchtime and then go chat with all of her friends. And I just, that's just really special. Someone could put up how to get involved with cards for soldiers. And one thing I do with my cards, so I think it's fun because you can find all kinds of different reasons. What I do with my extra cards is at our church, we do Operation Christmas Child, and we send out like 500 or more, lots of boxes. And people donate all the things to put in. They love doing that, but nobody wants to pay the $10 postage, coming back to shipping. And so what we do is we sell cards at the women's group every every Tuesday morning. And Kathy's in charge of that ministry. I give her all my cards so she can remake them if they're personal, and people buy them for $2 a card. And so they love it because there's new things coming in all the time. They're always rotating. They're supporting that. And that money pays for the postage. And I think, isn't that a fun workaround? And I know when my mom turned 99 and was getting all these cards, she loved feeling like these cards are making a journey. They were coming to her. We talk about what state they're from and this and that. And then when we were all done, they were going to go to Kathy, and then they would go to church. And cards are a gift that can keep on giving, which is why I'm thrilled to send out a dozen cards to a dozen of you today. Yeah, Sharon said she used to make cards for her mom to give out. Yeah, I love that. That's really.
So is our bowl getting full?
Yeah, we did this as just a little interest piece. Curiosity bowl. I think when you approach life with curiosity. So my parting question would be just to be curious. What are you doing with your crafting? What might you like to do more? Would you like to invite a friend over? Maybe you don't. Maybe you thought of somebody else you could send a card to. I think staying curious about where our gifts and interests can lead us to. What can I contribute to? And even with fundraisers, I love the idea that I could participate in fundraisers with my time when it's a way of helping them raise money. And it's something that I can do that isn't costing me money, it's costing me time. And through that, I'm also getting to know more people and just loving to see what people do with their time. So I thought Tim would talk more, but nobody's been asking him hard questions. So.
And I didn't get my nap. We usually finish our Facebook Live and then I can take a nap. But
Gail makes cards and she puts them in the folders that I make every December for cancer care bags. Oh, look at all the fun ways to do that. How do you do a fundraiser? Those would all be good questions that we just have to talk about another time. Those are the kinds of things I talk on our team meetings all the time. We talk about what people are doing and what somebody's trying, what works. And that's part of, that's not really even a total business question. I'd be glad to answer that on another call. I mean, so you don't have to be on my team, but I'm just saying, I love it that we think about, because a lot of us are more interested in that kind of a thing. How would we do something like this? How would we do this? And we share those ideas and get that with others. So it's just kind of that richness of our life. But I think that's it. But still put in questions if you have any other questions. Any real questions, because I would really respond back to just you. I won't come back on. And this was just meant to be a fun. I love that we're a community of experienced people and brand new people and all ages, and all different interests. I think that's really fun. Like Marie said, she gave a card to a hairdresser today. That is awesome. Susan, I'm going to read this. I'm planning my memorial service after I pass, having big baskets of my handmade cards for people to choose to take home as a remembrance of me. Hopefully I'll be a couple decades away. We went to a funeral. It was actually with one of my team members, and they did that. And I will forever have that card and remember her. I think that was such a wonderful idea. So Tim, will you remember that? I'm sure you will.
No.
But I think, but just think of that. And the other thing that was fun, if you're all standing around looking at her cards and you're reminiscing, because for those of us that were her card making friends, we're all kind of around that and just talking about all these memories and shared time. So it was really fun. And Debbie said, Tim, what was that book you once talked about as being one of your favorite? Thomas Kelly?
Thomas, yeah. Testament of Devotion.
Is that a favorite?
A Quaker.
And question about Tim's sister. She's just stable. She's in a nursing home, dementia ward.
Holding pattern.
And I'm the age she was when this happened. It's just really hard. I miss her every day. And every time something happens in California, I wish I could pick up the phone and call her and talk to her about it. So anyway, thanks for joining us. If this was fun, maybe we'll do another one sometime, and have it not be about business and see what kind of interesting questions. So then Tim would talk more.
Of all the names that are in that bowl, do I do a drawing?
Yeah, usually he does the drawings. I let Narsh do that. It's so funny. She just does a random thing and then it's all good. I said, I just like being told what to do. It's all wonderful. Thanks, you guys. And if you have other ideas, because we could do a Q&A sometime just about different stamping questions too. I mean, think about what would be helpful to you if there are things, or we could just do one about a crafter's life, kind of what daily life looks like, or whatever. Thanks. Yes, this is up to watch again. Don't know if that's a good idea or not, but as we become more casual and we just care about people and sharing our lives together, what we learn from you guys and what we all learn, I think, chatting and just friendships just matters. We wish we could have conversations with each and every one of you, but I would be exhausted.
And
I love doing that.
Just on my part, I will talk more on the replay.
Okay. Connie says, Tim, how many days you go to the post office?
Well,
I used to go every day.
Every day and twice a day. Now it's maybe 3 times
and they
a
miss
week.
him. He'll go to the post office and say, where have you been? Because
Yeah.
we don't send out the catalogs. We used to send out the catalogs always, and now we don't. We have them sent out. So he doesn't go quite as often.
But they're some of
they
my
love him
best
there.
friends.
And they still have up at the post office a postcard that Tim sent him from our trip in Hawaii years ago when he was thinking about them. It was one of our cruises from Stampin' Up.
Yeah.
And it just even shows how much your daily life matters. The little things we do matter. Our interactions with people when we're out and about, the cards we make. And I love that even if you become more housebound and you can't do things, we can still do this, and we can still, care. We can still pray for people. We can still talk to people. We can still send them something, and we can still be creative. So it's pretty cool. So thanks, everyone. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm always happy to talk, and have a wonderful weekend. It's going to be gorgeous weather here.
Goodbye.